3, 2, 1. Hey, how you doing, guys? In this video, I'm going to be comparing the onboarding experience of DTube and YouTube. As you'll see from my channel, I uploaded my first video to the channel earlier today. And this is a bit of a Zen video because what I actually wanted to do was share with you the onboarding experience. Okay, so I started a brand new channel in DTube and a brand new channel in YouTube. And I wanted to compare the experiences of both because a big part of this channel, which is going to be focused on application developers who are looking at blockchain, is to compare the onboarding experience of different technologies and platforms when we're operating in the blockchain space. Okay, so this one today isn't really something that's onboarding for developers. It's really about onboarding for end users. But I think a lot of the principles are the same. So I just wanted to share with you today my first impressions and first experiences. Now, as you can see, it's on screen at the moment. I now have a channel on DTube called Blockchain Developer 81. Sorry for the strange name, but they force you to put 2 numbers in the username. And I also created a channel on YouTube called Blockchain Developer. As you can see, both of the channels now have 1 video in each. When I was actually doing the upload and I was adding these videos, I was also running a timer at the same time. So I was quite interested to see how long did it take me. Now YouTube was pretty easy. I already had a Google account, so I didn't have to worry about making an account. The interface of YouTube is already familiar to me, as it's similar to the interface of all Google products. So I was pretty quickly able to upload a video and create the channel. So the end product is here. So we've got 1 video. I've added an avatar. I've added a background image. And that's basically it. On the timer, it took me 8 minutes to get this video into YouTube. So that's from not having an account to having a channel with all of the artwork on it and my first video. Okay, so it was a pretty slick onboarding experience. I didn't really hit any roadblocks. The one roadblock I did hit is it wouldn't allow me to add a custom thumbnail to the video. It said that I need more reputation in the platform before I'm allowed to do that. Okay, so I'm guessing that's to stop me adding clickbaity titles or spammy titles. You know, I'm not sure what the incentive is. Okay, so the Google experience was pretty slick. You'll already be familiar with YouTube. So what we're really going to talk today is about the onboarding experience of DTube. So DTube is a distributed potential rival to YouTube. So I'm not an expert on DTube, and to be honest, I haven't really done much research on it. I just knew that I was going to be recording this content, and I thought, what better place to put it than an application that's built on top of blockchain technology. Okay, so straight off the bat, with my limited knowledge of DTube, there's some pretty cool stuff going on with this product. They have a token system, so there's a reward system where I can pay tips to other content providers. There's going to be advertising in the future whereby I can pay using those tokens to have advertising run on the site. So it's one of those really interesting models where users and content producers can generate their own value and then they could spend that value. So I could have a video that's popular, I'll generate value from that video, and I could use the value that I have stored in the DTT token in order to promote my other videos in the future. Okay, so it's very reciprocal, a very cool model. Reminds me a lot of what Brave are doing in the browser with their BAT token. Okay, so pretty cool stuff. The other thing that really caught my attention as well is they're using to... Okay, so let's take a step back. When I first looked at this, I thought, okay, I understand the DTC token. I understand how the reward system would work, as in I get rewarded for uploading content and people liking my content and tipping me, and revenue can flow in the other way through advertising in a decentralized way. I understood that. But I was wondering, with something that's as heavy and as large as video, where does that video live? That video can't live on chain, obviously. It has to live off chain. So where is it? So I went and did some homework, and it turns out that it's being stored on something called the Interplanetary File System, IPFS. So this was super interesting. It looks like a peer-to-peer network on steroids, basically. It looks like all of the content is in this distributed file system where nodes can be running on individuals' computers around the world. Okay, this isn't new. Okay, we've seen peer-to-peer technology before. but I've never seen peer-to-peer technology running where it can stream videos as quickly as this. Look at this. The video is now running, and here it is running on my screen. There's no lag, there's no latency. That's really impressive. Like I said, I've not really done my homework on the IPFS or how DTube is storing these videos. Okay, so there might be some other layers and some other things going on. But if this is being run 100% on a peer-to-peer distributed file system, then the speeds that I'm seeing here are very impressive. They're very cool. So back to the actual onboarding. Okay, the onboarding process, it was good. It was good. But I did run into a few problems. Okay, so the first problem that I ran into was when I created the account. When I first created the account, there was a warning message that told me that DTube is currently running on testnet rather than mainnet. So this is one of the things you'll find when you're a software developer and you're coming into this blockchain space. There's a lot of new terminology that you're going to have to wrestle with, and I think a lot of people who are established in this space forget how alien a lot of these terms are to newcomers. So testnet, mainnet, I wasn't sure what they were. So I went away and did some research. We went into Google and I said, right, testnet versus mainnet. What is this? Looked into some articles and got some explanations. What it is a testnet in developer talk. It's basically a staging environment. So when you're releasing a new blockchain stack or a new technology, testnet is effectively your alpha and beta, and it's on a staging server. So in development, what we mean by a staging server, it's a server where we release before it goes to the production server. And normally, any data that's created or modified on that staging server will be lost once we deploy. It's only for testing purposes. And the same thing is happening with DTube, as I understand it. So they've created this testnet blockchain. This allows them to add new features, and they can risk making some mistakes without getting into too much trouble. And then what will happen is once they get to the point where they're ready to release the product, they're going to reset the blockchain and they're going to move across onto mainnet. Now, my understanding of this is that any of the tokens that you've built up during this testnet phase will be lost. You'll be set back to zero. But there will be a phase-in period where owners of account names, so we have my account name down here, Blockchain Developer 81, there'll be a transition period where we will be able to claim our names on the new blockchain. Now, as we talked about before, I'm guessing that these videos, well, I know these videos are stored off-chain. So what I'm hoping happens is when we claim our name, our videos and our content are still available on the interplanetary file system, and we won't lose all of the videos and content. But to be honest, DTube could have done a better job of explaining that. There were no links on the sign-up page to explain what the jargon meant or explain what it meant in real terms. Okay, so that was the first onboarding problem I had. So when we talk about onboarding, it's important to remember that successful onboarding is about reducing points of friction. So anything that makes somebody stop and say, I'm not sure about this, I'm not sure what this is, this adds friction and you're more likely to hemorrhage users through that onboarding process. So that was a pretty high one. The second one was the sign-in. So the sign-in, I had to create a username, and once I created a username, I was issued with a key, which I can use to log in. So I'm signed into my account right now, but I'm going to go and I'm going to sign out to show you what that looks like. Okay, so I'm now logged out of the system. If I press the login button, I come in here. It asks me for my username. Okay, so that's pretty simple stuff. Blockchain Developer 81. Now the next part is a key. Okay, so this is one of these onboarding paradigms that's going to be very new for most end users. They're used to a password system. They're not used to a key system. So in this case, we were given a key that we could use to download. Let's go and find my key. Where did I store it? It was in the projects blockchain channel. Okay, DTube keys. Now, I'm not going to show you my real keys. I've made some dummy keys here, for example. So we can see that when we open the key file, the file that was downloaded was in JSON format. So we've got some curly braces here, and in the object there's the key pub and the key priv, obviously standing for public and private, and then we have these two keys. Now with the login system, if we go back, we'll see it doesn't tell me what to put in here. Now, when I'm doing onboarding for software, I usually like to do what I call the mum test. And the mum test is, if I put my mum in front of this, would she be able to figure it out? And I'm pretty sure this login would fail the mum test. I've got a lot of experience with doing onboarding experiments, and I'm pretty sure if we did some onboarding tests with this, most users would go in, copy that entire string, paste it in here, press login. Okay, not now. And we get this error, private posting key is wrong. Now for me as a developer, I read, okay, private posting key is wrong. That's now given me more information. I go back in here and think, well, I need to put the private key. This is obviously the private key. So as a developer, dealing with a piece of JSON like this is easy. I know that this will be the value. I can go in, copy it, come back to the page, paste in that private key, say remember me, log in. Okay, private posting key. Oh, it's wrong because the file that I was just showing you was my dummy file because I didn't want to show you my real keys. But if I put my real key in now, we would sign in. Okay, so that was good. So the onboarding for this part, I can already see some challenges. There are two pretty big hurdles. So as the developers for distributed applications are moving forward, they're really going to have to think about this onboarding and on-ramping experience. Now, what I'm going to do a second is I'm just going to press the pause button, get my real key and sign in, and then I will restart the video. Okay, so I've gone into the file, I've got my real key now. So we're going to close this off, we're going to paste it in here, we're going to log in. And there we are, we're back in the account, we've signed in. Okay, so I think for technical users, it wouldn't be too much of a challenge, but it definitely fails the mum test. The next thing that I did is I had to upload a video. The layout of the interface is very similar to YouTube. So when I'm in my channel, the upload button's on the top right. I'm in DTube, it's also in the top right. So I think anyone who's used to YouTube or Google products, they'll feel at home here. So here was the next part. The next part was creating a new video. So the first part's pretty straightforward. Drop a file or click to upload. So I'll go and get one of the videos. Okay, so let's just get a file and press open. Now, this was the other point where I came unstuck several times. Okay, so first of all, it looks quite straightforward. You upload the video, you come down here, you fill in the title and description. It's all pretty straightforward. And there's also this upload snap. You're kind of, oh, what's a snap? But I guess that's a thumbnail. So I came in here the first time, did the upload, pressed the snap, went down here and hit publish, and then a spinner started going, which never stopped. Okay, so I was hung in this state and I couldn't move forward. So I refreshed, came in again, did the upload, pressed publish, and then it told me I needed to do a snap first. So I did the snap. Once again, the button's locked and the spinner's still there. So after a little bit of trial and error, what I realized is everything needs to be done in a very specific order. You need to do the upload first. Once the upload's complete, then you do the snap, then you complete the information, and then you press the publish button. Okay, so it looks like the developers are still working out some gremlins with the onboarding process, but it's important to remember with a product like this is still very much a beta product. It's on testnet, so that means it's on their staging environment right now, okay? This isn't quite ready for prime time yet, but from what I've seen so far, it is very cool. So, like I said, with the YouTube video, I got the entire channel set up in 8 minutes. When I was doing it with DTube, it took about 18 minutes. I actually spent about 45 minutes end to end, but I stopped in the middle for about 20-30 minutes because I got so excited about this interplanetary file system. Just the name alone blew my mind that I kind of went off track for a little while there. But the actual process in itself took about twice the time of YouTube. And there were only small bugs, so I'm sure these are things that the developers will iron out going forward. Okay. Yeah, so I think we're going to finish up there. I think what I'll do is I'll follow up in about a week with another video, because what's going to be pretty interesting is how many views the videos get on YouTube and DTube. Now, YouTube has a clear advantage in some respects. They have a much larger audience, much more users. But on DTube, I think the subject matter that I'm covering may be more relevant to the average DTube user. So it'll be interesting in a week to see how the two compare in terms of views. I think in future, we're not going to be doing onboarding videos for end users like we've done today, but we're very much going to be doing onboarding videos for developers. So we're going to be doing a similar thing where we're going to be looking at some of the blockchain technologies that are out there, their how-to videos and their onboarding videos, and the tooling that they provide around their platform to see how they stack up. Anyway, that's the end of today's video. Cheers for watching, and I'll see you next time. Over and out.